Today we'll be working on section 5.3, which is to write linear equations in point-slope form. Yes, I am teaching 5.3 before teaching 5.2. It works much easier this way if we can learn about point-slope form first before we go to section 5.2. The equation in point-slope form looks like y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. Y and x are going to be your variables, m is your slope, and x1 and y1 are actually a coordinate pair. You can get those from an xy point that is on the line. So x1 and y1 are actually a coordinate pair. Notice it's y minus whatever the y coordinate is, and x minus whatever the x coordinate is. Let's write the equation in point-slope form of a line that passes through the point -3, 1 and has a slope of 3. We need to first start out thinking about our point-slope form of the equation. Y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. We know that it has a slope of 3, and we know the point -3, 1. We're going to substitute those two pieces of information into our equation. The first thing that we'll substitute is the 1, which is your y coordinate. So y minus the 1 equals, now the slope of 3 goes into your equation, and then we can substitute the x in, x minus what the x coordinate is. Notice that that's x minus a -3, and when we rewrite that, that becomes x plus 3. We simplify those double negatives. So in point-slope form, y minus 1 equals 3 times the quantity, x plus 3. The slope is put in for the m, and the xy pair are put in for the x1 and the y1. Let's graph the equation. Y minus 2 equals 1/2 times the quantity x plus 2. First thing that we look at this equation, since it's in point-slope form, we know there's a point in the equation and there's slope. The point, we start looking for the x-coordinate. The x-coordinate is going to be a -2. I know it looks like it's plus 2 there, but really that's written as x minus a -2. So the x-coordinate is a -2. The y-coordinate, remember it's y minus whatever the y-coordinate is. So the y-coordinate is a +2. And then we have our slope being the 1/2. So let's plot our point first, -2, 2. Once you have that point plotted, use your slope to find another point. So we have our slope of 1/2. We're going to go up 1 and to the right 2, or you can go down 1 and to the left 2. And we'll draw our line through there. When we graph with point-slope form, you first have to get your point out of your equation, graph it, and then you can use the slope to find another point. Let's write an equation in point-slope form of the line that's shown here. We can see that we have 2 points, and we need to come up with the slope that is also in this line. So we're going to start out with the slope being with our 2 coordinates, -2, 3, and 1, -3. You know how to take the change in y over the change in x, or you could count the slope on this particular graph. But if we do change in y over change in x, we got 3 minus a -3 over -2 minus 1. That gives us a slope of 6 over -3, which is equal to a -2. We have 2 points. We have the slope. You can choose either point to put in. Remember, we're using y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. So if I use the first point, I'll have y minus 3 equals -2 times the quantity x plus 2. Remember, that was x minus whatever the x coordinate was, so it becomes x plus 2. Or I can use y plus 3 equals -2 times the quantity x minus 1. It does not matter which one of these two answers you give me. either one is correct, I will have both on my key. You should only give me one answer on the test, please. Do not give me both, just in case you write one of them wrong. Please only give me one answer. We're going to write the equation of a line in point-slope form that passes through these 2 points, 2, 3, and 4, 4. First of all, let's find the slope of that line, and that means we're going to take the change in y over the change in x. So 3 minus 4 over 2 minus 4 gives us a negative 1 over negative 2, which is equal to a positive 1/2. Just like the previous problem, I can use either point to write into my equation. So I have my equation y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. We're going to substitute in one of the two xy pairs and the slope. So I can have y minus 4 equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 4. That's probably the easiest one to do because you don't have to know which one's x and which one's y in order to write those down. The other one will be y minus 3 equals 1/2 times the quantity x minus 2. On this equation, you need to know which one's the x and which one's the y. It doesn't matter which one of these two equations are given. If both are correct, only give me one of the two equations, please. Now we have a story problem. The table shows the cost of renting a canoe for different times in hours. Can this situation be modeled by a linear equation? So what I'm asking for is, are the slopes the same? And if the slopes are the same, then you're to write an equation that gives the cost as a function of time in hours. So when we start out looking at this, we're going to find the change in cost over the change in time. Remember, we talked about the cost as a function of time. That means cost is our y, time is our x. Just like in science class, time is always your x, cost then has to be your y. We're going to start out with two of the pairs. We'll have, 222 and 432 as our xy pairs. So we subtract our x's, 32 minus 22 over 4 minus 2 gives us 10 over 2, which is 5. So we know the slope between those 2 points is 5. How about the slope between 432 and 642? Well, subtract your y's. 42 minus 32 over 6 minus 4 also gives us 5. Let's move on to the next set. 52 minus 42 over 8 minus 6 gives us a slope of 5. And what do you think the last one's going to be? 62 minus 52 over 10 minus 8 also gives us a slope of 5. Please notice the slope between each one of those points is the same, so I can write an equation that gives the cost as a function of the time. We're going to do that in point-slope form, so y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. The m is going to be 5. We know that's the slope because we did it 4 different times, came up with the same slope each time. Now we have 5 different xy pairs that we can put in. If we do the first pair, that gives us y minus 22 equals 5 times the quantity x minus 2. Or maybe you like the second pair, y minus 32 equals 5 times the quantity x minus 4. Perhaps you like the third pair, y minus 42 equals 5 times the quantity x minus 6. Or maybe you like the fourth one, y minus 52 equals 5 times the quantity x minus 8. There's always the fifth one to do, y minus 62 equals 5 times the quantity x minus 10. I don't care which one of those you choose, you only choose one, you only give me one answer. But all 5 of those are correct. I'll have all 5 on my answer key so that I make sure that I have the answer that you've given as well. You only need one of those equations. That's the end of point-slope form. Remember to put it in y minus y1 equals m times the quantity x minus x1. These will be very nice to do. Good luck on your homework.